Thank you so much for joining us. Pete is coming to us from Harvest Roots in Birmingham, Alabama. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what was the inspiration for your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like you were saying, I'm Pete Halupka. I'm with Harvest Roots. I'm the head brewer here. We brew kombucha, and we also make various kinds of pickles and kimchis and sauerkrauts and other sort of like bougie pickles. Whether, if some farmer lets us know they have okra, we're like, let's figure out how to make a dope okra pickle. We don't use any salt. We don't use any vinegar in our process, so everything is naturally fermented in the vegetables. And then obviously kombucha is a wild product of bacteria and yeast. I think that what's cool is we got started doing this business at home, particularly my partner Lindsay, who is my other half here, business partner and partner. She's like the hippie at college with like the weird like crock of stinky stuff in her dorm. And we started farming. That was like 8 years ago now. And people just wanted more vegetable ferments and kombucha than they did like more kale at the farmer's market. So here we are.
If someone wanted to dabble at home, do you have a couple of recommendations that you could lay out for them? Maybe a couple do's and don'ts?
Yeah, I think that the main thing about kombucha is people think it's like baking bread. Like baking bread is easy, but it's also like something that you can spend your lifetime working on, and that's how fermenting is in general. It's easy to make beer. It's easy to make sauerkraut. So I think that people need to take their time, especially with kombucha. People think that they're going to make like this batch the first time that's really good, and it may be good, but I think what I've learned over time is that first batch is very yeast forward. And what you have to do is make it an environment where bacteria is dominant. And that takes a long time. That takes 3-5 batches at the least. And to see our culture here and where it is after 5 years, it's very different than a first batch at home. So that first batch, you're going to taste like something that's maybe not even that sour at first. So you need to continue making it and continue starving out that yeast and look for a more bacterial culture. Long story short, just be patient.
Okay, that's great.
Same with sourdough bread, right? Same with sourdough bread. It takes a little while.
Absolutely. So do you feel with everything that's going on with COVID, and now that you mentioned sourdough bread, people are starting to go back to like this sort of homestead way of life. They like enjoy taking their time with things and baking their own bread and stuff. Do you feel that you've had maybe a rise in interest on the kombucha and fermented foods sort of movement because people are really kind of understanding a little bit of more like traditional methods of preservation and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have it's been a little bit slow this year with COVID, but in the past we had a very vibrant educational program here, and people were like, well, why are you going to teach people to make this stuff? And it's like, well, it just makes everyone appreciate everyone's work more, it's so yeah, there's been if you make kimchi at home once a month, and then you are able to taste someone who makes kimchi like once a week for the past 8 years, I just like the environment it creates where people are not only doing DIY culture but are appreciating craft and maybe understand what goes into it, instead of just saying like it's easy. And which is, people say that about everything, that's fine, that's cool, but like I'm interested in an artisan product, and even the easiest quote unquote things you can spend a lifetime working on and refining.
Sure, absolutely.
Simplicity is very complicated.
I agree. And as someone who has tried to make all of these things at home, I know the true complexity of being able to like master that recipe, and especially mastering something like wild yeast or whatever to be able to produce it. It's not as easy as it maybe might seem. So what is your favorite, what is your one favorite thing that you produce? Like, what's the one thing that you're super proud of, or like you can't get enough of, or you just like really enjoy?
Yeah, we're really excited about this brand, this kombucha flavor brand that we have called Star Stuff, which is a Carl Sagan reference, that we have dry hopped with Citra, Galaxy, and Mosaic, which are like sort of hype boy, sort of like hops from the craft beer scene that are not so much about bitterness. They're about like really strong, like pineapple, guava, pineapple, mango sort of vibes, like grapefruit pith too. But yeah, dry hopped. It just tastes like the juice at the bottom of a pineapple rings can, and but it's still dry. So like as a non-alc like hoppy beverage, it's just like we're very excited about it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. It's like making my mouth water right now. I really, really want to try it. Um,
It's you're stoked.
yeah. Well, that's all the time we have, but I do know that you just opened a brick and mortar, correct? So if people do want to get involved or come visit you, where do they follow you? How do they find you? And when can they come in and check you out?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We're Harvest Roots. We're located in Birmingham, Alabama. You can find us on Instagram at Harvest Roots Ferments, Facebook too. You can also just Google us for our website and other articles or whatnot. We're running a pretty tight ship with COVID right now around our brand new tap room here and production space, which is about 5,000 square feet, by the way. We're only open on Saturdays right now. So if you're around the Birmingham area or coming into town, we have people travel here all the time to come visit us. It's worth a travel. We have tons of great stuff. And you can find tons of more details on our Instagram. That's sort of where we like, you know, do our thing.
Yeah, that great, great business model. Well, thank you for taking the time. I know you just opened, so I know that that can be really strenuous and stressful. So thank you again for joining us. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.